Hey there, I'm Sharmen, and I want to talk about the secondary betrayal that no one likes to talk about. When your friends stay friends with your ex. I've talked about this before. This is potentially a part two, and I want to go just a little bit deeper because I want to talk about the kind of pain that doesn't come with a clear accusation. It's not loud, it doesn't explode relationships. It doesn't even always look like betrayal from the outside, and yet it lodges itself deep in the chest and refuses to leave. I'm talking about what happens when people you loved and trusted stay friends with the person who hurt you the most. Not because they're cruel, not because they're choosing sides, not even because they know what it costs you. They may have zero idea what you're experiencing, and this is where the pain gets complicated. You're not demanding they be different. You're not asking for loyalty oaths or dramatic exits or public declarations of support. You understand on a very adult, very grounded level that they have a right to live their own lives, choose their own relationships, and navigate things in a way that makes sense to them for who they are, what their circles are. You know that. And still, you notice things. They hang out. They help each other. They share meals, holidays, inside jokes. They welcome the ex's new significant other with warmth and ease. Sometimes they become fast friends. Nothing about it is overtly cruel, and yet your nervous system registers it as danger and atrocity. Because even if it's not outright betrayal, it is felt betrayal. Something quietly but decisively changes inside you. You realize you can't confide in them anymore. Not because they're unkind, not because they're unsafe people in general, but because they are still connected. Your story is no longer contained. Your vulnerability no longer feels protected. Your truth no longer feels like it has a place to land. So you stop sharing. And what's strange is that you don't always do this consciously. Your body does it for you. You become careful, measured, emotionally efficient. You show up, but only with what you can afford to lose. And then comes another layer of hurt that almost no one talks about. They stop reaching out, or they reach out less. And you find yourself wondering things that don't really have answers, that you don't really want answers to. What do they think of me now? What have they been told? Do they believe it? Do they assume I'm fine? Do they think I'm difficult, bitter, dramatic? You don't ask. Not because you don't care, but because you don't have the heart to risk the answer. So you sit in the not knowing, which is its own kind of grief. Here's something important that deserves to be said clearly. You may be guarded around them, but that does not mean you're inauthentic. Guarded does not mean fake. You put on your big girl panties, you show up when you need to, you keep moments in the moment. You can be kind, authentic, present, civil, even warm. Shallow and guarded does not mean fake. It means discerning in the moment. It means you've learned where depth is no longer safe. And yet, even with all that maturity, your heart still hurts terribly under the surface. Because restraint doesn't erase the loss. It just makes it quieter. There's often a very specific moment when you realize this. It's a photo, a conversation, an event you weren't invited to, or a realization that they are now part of a life that no longer includes you. And something inside you says very plainly, these are no longer people I can entrust my heart to. That realization is devastating. Not because you want to vilify them, but because they mattered. They were once your people. And if these are people from your church or spiritual community, the grief deepens even more because now it's not just relational loss, it's disillusionment. This wasn't how it was supposed to be. The divorce in and of itself wasn't how it was supposed to be, but this fallout of the relationships, not how it was supposed to be. There was supposed to be care, covering, truth held with integrity. Instead, there's a polite distance, a quiet neutrality, a willing to keep things peaceful at the expense of reality. And you're left holding pain that no one names. For many people, there is still something unresolved years later, a longing for justice, for clarity, for truth to be spoken out loud, not to punish, but to be seen, to know that what happened mattered, that the harm was real, that you weren't imagining it, that they felt it too. And when that never comes, the grief doesn't resolve cleanly. It settles. So what do you do with this? Especially when it's been years, when life has moved on, but this ache still visits your heart. There's no clean fix. There's no antidote that erases it. But there is a way to stop letting it own you. The most important shift is this: refuse to assign meaning or motive to their choices, not because it didn't hurt, but because living in other people's heads will keep you stuck in a place that slowly drains your life. They are choosing what works for them. Let them, and then choose what works for you. Stop reading minds. Start reading the patterns. Behavior tells you what's possible in the relationships. If depth isn't available, stop reaching for it there. If safety isn't present, stop offering your heart. You are not failing at forgiveness by doing this. You're practicing wisdom. You cannot build intimacy where authenticity is not possible. So don't mourn what you cannot have. Build what you can. At some point, you recognize grief for what it is: the real life fallout of divorce. Not everything breaks dramatically. Some things simply dissolve, and that requires grief. Grief for what was, grief for what should have been, grief for the version of community you believed in. And still, you walk forward. You find other spaces, other people, other connections that can hold the weight of who you are now. Healing doesn't mean the past stops hurting. It means the pain no longer gets to decide the shape of your future. Yes, something was broken. And if no one is willing to acknowledge it or repair it, then that chapter may truly be over. But your story is not. You are still allowed to live fully, to connect deeply, to experience joy without apology. This grief is real, and it does not get the final word. Both and are true. If this resonates with you and you're carrying unresolved grief, relational loss, or the quiet aftermath of betrayal that never had language, support can help. At livefound.org, we work with people navigating the long-term emotional fallout of divorce, betrayal, and identity disruption, helping them reclaim clarity, groundedness, and forward movement. You can learn more or schedule a session at livefound.org. You are not weak for feeling this. You're not failing at healing. You are living in the tension of reality, and there is still more life ahead.